You're listening to REIA Radio, the nationally trusted name in real estate investing. We dig deep to discover investors' why in real estate. If you want to skip all the BS and get in investors' heads, you're in the right spot. Be one of the thousands to check out REIARadio.com.
This episode is brought to you by PropStream.com.
PropStream is one of the most trusted real estate data software solutions. PropStream benefits all real estate professionals. You can find properties and contact homeowners on the go with PropStream's mobile app. We offer free academy courses tailored to real estate investors and agents. Take advantage of our live webinar demos to learn the software and scale your real estate business. Visit www.propstream.com and sign up for your 7-day free trial to get more leads and grow your business.
Welcome to REIA Radio. Episode 141 is Kickoff Monday. I'm just going to keep on trying them. I'm going to keep on trying them.
Not Kickoff Monday. That sounds terrible.
Let's kick off Monday.
What is the problem with people not responding to this? Like, we need feedback. Clearly, we're not creative people. Give us we need a tagline for this episode.
All the VAs have been throwing ideas left and right. They're the ones that are more excited about this than anybody else.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You have any...
I would have to go through.
runners?
I'd have to go through them all with you. We haven't gotten that one yet, so I'm just gonna keep on throwing off some other ones here. Right now, they're just putting the OT on the cue card.
That's fine. We'll allow it, but I'm gonna put yours in the old trash bin. What you just said.
We're not kickstarting the Monday today.
Okay, whatever. All right, it's Monday. Happy Monday, people. Great to see you again. And Ted, what's been going on in your world, man?
I tell you what, it's been really interesting because I remember last week we were discussing, people putting money in their accounts, selling off some properties, as you're doing with one of your 20 units.
Yep.
And I listed one of my properties since then. And recently, in the last couple of days, I've had 3 clients reach out to me, and I have roughly about 16 listings that I need to put up, and I'm sitting here pulling my hair out that I'm not working on it right now.
Yeah, you have been incessantly looking at your watch and your phone while we've been here. Totally distracted. I get it. Kind of not good, not great for the podcast vibe here.
Just so you know, saying. I had it on the floor the whole time.
Okay, all right. You had it on the floor in expand mode that you could read it while it was on the floor. So not really solving the problem.
That's all false.
Anyway, so I want to ask you this. So this is I actually have no idea what it's like in your world when this happens, but if somebody came to you and they said, all right, let me backtrack. So I read random stuff, right? Like Reddit posts, like clearly I've mentioned that before. And then Facebook groups and I have a feed, right? Generally everybody has kind of like their jam where they're digesting news from various sources. A lot of it's social media, a lot of it's, other, newsletters and whatnot. What does somebody do that all of a sudden, people want you to list 16 properties in 1 week?
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle that? What is that even like? Like, what's your first reaction when this goes on?
Oh, you mean I had a smile on my face. But truthfully, I was just really, kind of prioritize it. So, there's one client that has a 3-plex, and so that one's gonna be, he's only got one to sell. That's easy. Gonna work on
one
it.
and done.
Yep. Another client, he's just got a couple properties, and I'm like, hey, we need to make sure we're getting the pictures, make sure we have the leases and information, getting our seller property disclosure statements all filled out. You just gotta kind of slow the roll to tell them what you need and don't rush into it, because otherwise you're not being a good advisor. You're just trying to get the deal done.
Yep.
And then a client that's like, hey, goes, hey, real estate isn't my avenue as far as the single families and the small multifamilies anymore. I'm on another level. He's investing in larger apartment complexes and different types of investing assets. And he said that it was kind of interesting for conversation. He said that the single families and the small stuff is more money as far as more time, more headache, and it's not producing the returns as his other investments are doing.
Interesting. So he's claiming that single families as an asset class are more of a headache than multifamily.
Well,
is he managing both?
He's investing in funds.
Okay.
And he's investing in stocks and he's investing in other people's businesses. He says he's getting better return on that with very little effort in.
Better return on
his dollars that he's putting in.
On which is
on the stuff that's not real, not the single families and the small multi.
Okay, I kind of think I know who you're talking about here, and but my question on that is, so, all right, actually, this is good. I'm gonna pivot into something. If you don't mind.
Do your pivoting.
I'll pivot.
Yeah.
So the common argument, like, okay, let's say you're on a real estate podcast right now, right? So you're obviously interested in this asset class. Maybe you've been in this for years. Maybe you just are, sniffing around and seeing what makes sense. But the common argument with people that aren't in real estate investing is, oh, I can get a much better return on the stock market. I can get, 12% or 13%, 10, whatever it is, right? Everybody's got a pat answer for that. And they're like, the stock market has kicked off X return over X amount of years, and that's tried and true. And if you stay in it long enough, you're gonna do well, right? The benefit of investing in stocks is you buy it, you don't hear anything from anybody, and then you just watch your account, and it either grows or goes down. And then when you sell,
the go down is like having a bad tenant that wrecked the walls.
Yeah. But the difference with stocks is you can just ignore it and just wait, right? Like you don't have to actually fix drywall. Mm-hmm. So that's the argument generally with, the equities market is like you can just put your money in and let it work. And if you don't like what's going on, you could sell and take a loss. You could enjoy the gains and let it run. There's a lot of options. The downside to investing in that is when you sell, if you hold it for a year and a day, you're going to owe long-term capital gains taxes plus state. If you sell it within a year, you're going to owe, regular income tax. There's nothing to offset it, right? Mm-hmm. Real estate obviously offers the, 4 main benefits of investing in real estate. I'm going to list them off. You ready? Mm-hmm. Appreciation, depreciation, and those are, counterintuitive, but appreciation meaning the market goes up, inflation takes hold. Like, let's say there's 5 years that go by. Your asset is going to be worth, your house is going to be worth more, or your property is going to be worth more than you paid for it 5 years ago. That's appreciation. Depreciation is a tax deduction that the IRS allows for you to say, I have this building, I bought it, it's going to be worth less a year from now because stuff breaks down. Like I have to replace light fixtures, furnaces, air conditioners, like I have to remodel units and all that. Like things break down. The IRS gives you, basically they recognize that and they say, hey, I want to incentivize you for investing in housing for the United States, and we're going to give you a tax deduction as a result in the form of depreciation. So there's appreciation, depreciation. There is, what else am I missing here? We have cash flow. The last one being leverage. Now, here's the argument that like stock market bros and a lot of people come back with is you can get leverage on your equities assets in the form of margin accounts, right? So you can set up a Charles Schwab or whatever. If you're like a pro trader, you can leverage your portfolio and get more juice out of it, but not to the tune of what you can with real estate. So you can't go out and get 80% leverage on your stock portfolio. It just doesn't happen that way, right? So there's leverage, appreciation, depreciation, and cash flow are kind of your mainstays in the real estate world. But like it magnifies over time. That's the thing about it all that makes it so powerful as an asset class.
I mean, kind of when we were talking to Sherrod, and he had his 60 paid off properties.
Exactly.
And what he was able to do with that.
Yeah.
I mean, life-changing.
I challenge anyone to give me a really solid case study, and I will debate you all day long on why your position on what an asset is to challenge real estate. Now, do I love real estate? Do you love real estate every day? No.
I mean, it's got its moments.
Yeah, it's got really fleeting moments with me. Like, I generally don't like operating real estate at all. Mm-hmm. Like, I like the idea of it. I like the aspects of it that offer me and my family, benefits tax-wise and just, like, leverage-wise and all that. But, like, generally it sucks. I mean, you don't go to, like, you're not at a party on New Year's Eve and somebody calls you and says, hey, you have to modify your stock portfolio. That shit doesn't happen. But I've been at a New Year's Eve party and people are like, it's 20 below right now and our furnace just went out. Like, I need help. Like, what can you do? We have dogs, we have baby, we have, whatever. So then you're like scrambling. And you're like, okay, I'll put you up in a hotel. And you're doing triage, right? Like, that doesn't happen with other asset classes. So I get the argument.
I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to get lots of space heaters right now.
Yeah, exactly. Space heaters.
Well, one thing, the gentleman that we're talking about, he told me he would come on the podcast, and this would be a good conversation to have with him. And we kind of talk about, outside assets and, why he thinks other assets are better in real estate after investing in real estate for 9 years now.
Man, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I will debate that really hard.
And it'll be a high level conversation too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I look forward to that. But yeah, and I had the other part of the real conversation I had to have is because that many properties is unbelievable amount of paperwork. Like each one of those properties, because it's some of them are multifamilies too. So it's getting leases, getting keys, make sure the signage is up. I mean, the whole process there for a property can take, just to get it up and ready could take a whole day.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include like meeting photographers out there and talking to the tenants and letting them know what's going on and finding out what that process is. There's a lot more to it, obviously, but just doing paperwork and getting it listed can be a day in some cases.
Totally.
And so I prepped this gentleman. I'm like, we're going to list this property first because it's vacant and it just got renovated. So we have a really cool 4-unit that was built to be intentionally a Airbnb in what they little Italy area in town. And so we're going to list that one for in the low 500s. And I was like, this would be a great one to start with. Let's get this one up. And then just bear with me. And we'll get one property up because I got to talk to property managers and talk to tenants. We'll get one up every couple days until they're all up. So it's going to take a couple weeks. So he said, no problem. Let's go forward. But that I'm going to be busy and hopefully I'll make some money off this too.
Nice. Yeah. No, that's great. I know like this has been such a weird last couple of years with like the ups and downs in the market and how hard it is to actually turn a profit on anything. So I'm super pumped to hear that you've got those in the hopper.
Now, one thing that's been really interesting too, because I mentioned I have where the original podcast studio was.
Yeah.
So on 24th and Vinton here in Omaha, I have a 5-unit. It's completely renovated. It's a midterm, short term. I posted that 6+ months ago on our Facebook group. Had it under contract with literally in the first 10 minutes. I had it posted. I was like, oh snap! And so I listed it. And that deal fell through due to some financing issues, but. I relisted that now I have it on the market for the first time. And I have it listed at the price it appraised for when I bought it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's listed at the appraisal price from 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
And I haven't had a single phone call on it in a week, which is really weird. And I listed a duplex for another client around the same time, and I haven't had a single phone call on that one also. And that one's priced really good. And my only thing I can think of is that everybody's waiting for these interest rates to drop here coming in September, thinking that, and it's not going to immediately affect mortgage rates, but people don't think like that.
Right.
And so I think that there's a lot of new, because these are small multis, which are going to be the newer investors, are like, I'm waiting for this interest rate to drop and then I'm going to buy. I'm going to get that half-point deal. And I think that everybody's on the sideline because they're waiting to see how much the rates are dropping. My opinion, because these should have some movement.
Now, keep in mind, we're in one of the worst times of year in our neck of the woods here for transactions to happen. I mean, right?
In
like
general,
back to school time. Nobody likes moving.
August is generally one of the worst times, but
Yep.
these aren't single family houses. These are investment properties.
Yeah,
and it doesn't play the same game.
Sure. Yeah.
And I mean, my best month as an investment real estate agent is December every year. I get my highest sales in December because everybody's trying to get the tax incentives. They talk to their accountant in September and they're like, hey, you need to buy something so you're not, slammed with a whole bunch of taxes.
Yeah, okay, so I just did 2 refinances yesterday with my hometown bank, Malvern Bank, shout out. And like I need the money right now, and it's a pretty decent chunk.
Yep.
I need it. I want it. I have plans for it. And she's like, just so you know, like, if you wait a couple of months, you can probably get like 1% less. Is kind of the message that I got. And I was like, that sucks to hear, but I mean, I can always do that later, right?
Yeah.
But
you're gonna have to pay those.
I know.
Fees.
So my point on this is like, don't worry about timing all of that and being like, oh my God, are the rates going to go up? Are they going to go down? Just chill. Like, don't worry about it. Operate your business. Does that affect cash flow? Of course. So anyway, the point on all this is rates matter, yes. And you have to look at your portfolio and a deal that you may have, and you're maybe looking into refinancing. Rates, of course, matter, but you may need, the money, or you may want the money, or you may have a project to put it into or whatever. And like, don't trip over pennies on the way to dollars is the point.
Well, I've been telling people this also, is that I think that when the rates drop, that all of a sudden we're going to have a flood market with mainly people buying their homes. People on the sidelines sitting in their apartments. They wanted a house. We're seeing some of the highest inventory we've seen in years by a substantial amount. And, but everybody's like, oh, I'm going to get this better rate. I'm going to jump into it right now. But here's the deal, guys. When you jump into it next month, you're jumping into it with 10 to 20 people on that same property. Right now, you might only be, battling one or two people on that property, and you're going to be paying $10,000, $20,000 more because there's escalation clauses and everything that are going to come in place. Right now, you're not dealing with that. The best time to buy is now, and if the rates drop that much, refinance it.
Yep, there you go. Okay, well, this might be a good segue into today's
Golden Nugget, and this Golden Nugget is brought to you by JM Real Estate Capital.
Hi, it's Rob, JM Real Estate Capital. We're the money guys that you need to know for all your real estate investments. Talk to us. We can do what your local bank can't or won't do. We don't have millions, we have trillions with a T to lend. 844 we close, or go online, jmrecapital.com. That's jmrecapital.com. JM Real Estate Capital, smart solutions for the real estate investor.
So I had something happen to me this week that I haven't really dealt much with before, and that is, I have so I've got a commercial.
It's okay. It happens at your age.
I have a commercial building. Okay, how's your says the guy that has glasses on and I don't. Anyway, so I own a commercial building. This is one I talked about in Wednesday's episode, but it flooded earlier in the year. This year, we finally got an insurance settlement. We're in the process of meeting with a whole bunch of contractors, the city, all this stuff. Actually, I have to give my wife credit for this. So Jen Dashner, thank you. She was trolling a group that I think was Omaha Food Lovers, and it's like a huge Facebook group where people love food. They talk about restaurants and whatnot, and whatever. And somebody in that group posted something about they're a coffee shop, and they the end of their lease is coming up, and they got stuck in it because the current owner didn't give them basically adequate notice that their lease was ending, and the new owner wasn't. They were like, hey, no problem, just do this, extend your lease, and then the new owner's gonna you can renegotiate, no problem. Wink. So the previous owner, or the current owner of the Bay, it's a coffee shop, they said, okay, great. We're going to, slightly extend this, and then we're going to dump some money into improving the unit. So they put about $50,000.
Just a little bit of money.
Into remodeling and painting and flooring and fixtures and all that. Guess what? The building's going to be demoed.
What?
Along with the rest of the strip mall that it's in. And they're going to completely redevelop it. So the current owner misled them, according to them. This is allegedly, right? I'm not naming specific places. Yeah. And so anyway, they posted on Facebook, in a Facebook group, and they're like, hey, kind of explain the situation that I just mentioned. They're like, our lease is going to be up. If anybody knows of any commercial spots, would love to hear about it. So like all these people were like, oh my God, that's so, that's such BS. I can't believe that happened to you. I'd love to help you out. So they're like messaging people. I mean, it was a huge thread. And so I kind of like chimed in. I was like, hey, I'm so sorry that happened. When's your lease up? And like, would you consider the other side of the river, which, in our neck of the woods here is Nebraska versus Iowa. And so they responded and they're like, yeah, let's, take this to direct message. And so we started DMing, and then they're like, basically like, what's the deal? And I said, hey, well, we have this spot. It used to be a restaurant. It's like exactly the square footage you're looking for. We could probably work out a, deal. The building flooded, this and that, and this and that. And I said, look, don't take my word for it. Go look at the building. Like, here's the address. Go look in the windows. If you still want to talk, because she was asking me all kinds of questions like, what's the square footage? What are you charging for, your lease? What's the triple net, or is there a triple net? All that. So I meet her over there, show her and her husband the place, and they're in love. They love it. And they're like, what? And I said, okay, what's your time frame? And they say, well, we don't really know, because they've given us different answers. It could be November, it could be December, it could be March. We're kind of getting the runaround. And
I said, you're nowhere near that, right?
No.
Yeah.
But I said, I tell you what, if you told me the date is March, I said I can make that happen. Because it's mostly cosmetic in this unit, right? Like, it was just water damage. There's like paint and flooring, and it's pretty much good to go for a restaurant. They like the layout, and they could work with all of it and whatever. And so I said, if you told me this is in 2 months, that's a whole different conversation. I said, then I'm not operating under a timeline I have any control over, because we have the city, we have to get inspections and all that. I'm like, I can't do that. And she's like, no, I get it. So anyway, long story short, they followed up with me a couple of times since then. And finally, when I met them over there, I gave them basically the honest answer of, look, residential is my wheelhouse. Commercial leasing, I know less than nothing about. I'm like, I just want to be totally transparent with you, because at some point we're going to need to involve a leasing agent.
Or attorney, right?
Yeah, or an attorney. So a leasing agent is going to make on a lease. So when you look at a commercial lease, a lot of times they're 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And I had no idea what to expect for a commission on this, right? So I call one of the commercial agents that I know that is familiar with this building, and I'm like, hey, Mark, what are the is this normal for kind of the price per square foot? I'm just bouncing these things off of him, right? And he's like, yeah, that's totally normal. Are you going to do triple net, or are you going to do a gross lease? And I'm like, I have no idea.
Or a double net.
A double net lease. So we're talking through all the kind of the ins and outs of this. And by the way, anybody catching this, commercial leasing is a whole different animal. Like, if you're used to residential, you probably don't know what you're doing, and you should involve an attorney or a leasing agent. And that's today's golden nugget.
And as an agent myself, every time I run across a commercial deal, I refer it to a commercial agent, and I just get a referral fee.
Yeah, as you should. So here's what was interesting about this. So I said, okay, how do you guys figure out what you can get paid out of this? Is it normal, like a residential lease, where you get charged like a half month's rent or a full month's rent as an owner for somebody that leases the property for you? No, they calculate the length of the lease times the rate that they're getting. So let's say when you're looking at month 1 to month 12, it's going to cost you as a tenant in a commercial lease $12,000, so $1,000 a month, right? So a normal commercial lease, they're going to charge you that 1 year times their percentage that they normally get. So let's say it's 5%. So $100,000 times 5%, that's $5,000, right? So you take the length of the lease. So let's say it's 3 years. So it's 36 months, right? And let's say your monthly lease is $1,000. That's $36K, right?
Yep.
So you take that times, let's say it's 5% or 6%. So whatever 36,000 times 5 is, or 0.05, that is the amount that you're going to owe your leasing agent. And they're going to lock up that deal for you, sign the lease, get everything taken care of paperwork-wise, and you're done. But I just thought that was really interesting. I'm curious if you have ever done a commercial lease or if all of your transactions have ever been just, pretty much buys and sells.
So I've been involved with probably half a dozen or more commercial leases, but since it is, I can legally do them, but it's not the area that I am rehearsed on. So I have a commercial leasing agent here in town, Trenton Magan, and we have a partnership deal worked out, and I give him my leads in this category. And I've had everything from a person wanting to relocate their business to a different place to people that wanted to get tenants into their places. And so all those have been referrals, and I just get the commission check.
Yeah, and I think, the message here is, like, just be honest with people because, I met with this couple, and they looked at the space, and they fell in love with it. And I was like, look, I just want to be open with you. Like, this is not my wheelhouse. I don't know what I'm doing from a leasing perspective. I'm probably going to involve a leasing agent. I just wanted to meet you guys and show it to you because this was like short notice or whatever. And they were like super appreciative. And they're like, yeah, no problem. I mean, as long as you're on the hook for paying the guy, I don't care.
I mean, to be 100% honest, most of that pay is going to find a tenant for the property.
Exactly. So I already did the hard part.
So anybody that does that paperwork for you,
yeah,
I mean, theoretically should be giving you a sweetheart deal
discount.
Yep. I mean,
that's a good gold nugget on the golden nugget.
I love nuggets on nuggets.
Yeah.
But I would truthfully, I mean, if it came down to it and you just needed somebody to do the paper for you, well, it's Iowa. I'm not licensed in Iowa.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could get that paperwork done and hand it over, but I'm not the person that's knows that.
Well,
I have access to all those types of leases.
Totally. But I got into a situation with this where they're like asking me questions about like, okay, what's the price per square foot and what about the utilities and then I was like,
you're like, this is my
don't know.
Yeah, so commercial property.
So it's not as simple as just like filling out a lease, right? Because like I don't know what's normal, what's not, like what's expected, what isn't. It's like if you have an arm's length real estate transaction in the a lot of states, it's like buyer and seller split. Closing costs and title insurance, but I don't have any idea what's going on in the commercial space. Like they may want like build out. They may want, tenant improvements. I don't know how all that works. So my point is hire a pro on those. Like I don't know this stuff.
I went to the commercial real estate summit 2 weeks ago, and on Friday, was that Friday last week actually? And I mean, there was a lot of talk that was in there that was completely foreign to me. But it was really interesting. I like to go as many summits as I possibly can because it's something I personally want to do for our community. In the next year or so, it's on my goal list. So I learned a lot from it on that aspect. But going into the breakout sessions and listening to people talk and the build outs and that was going on, it was really interesting.
Yeah.
I got to listen to Jay Lund, which is a big deal.
Oh
here in town,
big
speak.
developer in Omaha.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I love fun with that. Well, I think that this is really good conversation because when it comes to commercial, we just don't really dig a lot into that.
Yeah.
And it's good for our listeners to talk about that. And we'll definitely reach out to some friends and get somebody in the commercial world and maybe Trenton or Jeff Beals in here and talk a little bit more about that. I think it'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, love it. Well, stay tuned for Wednesday's episode with Jeremy Parenti, longtime real estate investor, got started in 2010. He's done flips, wholetailing, a bunch of rental properties, transitioning from residential to commercial. Yeah. Got a fun story along the way, so stay tuned for that episode and tune in. We love you guys.
Yeah, and we get into a little bit of the deep, dark side of wholesaling.
The black market.
The black market. Hey, definitely would love if you guys give us a 5-star review and a written review so we can read it on our next podcast. So please do that for us. It means a lot.
Don't be losers. Put it out there. Come on.
And with that, we'll see you guys on Wednesday. Yeah, definitely want to wrap.
Yep.
Cool.
Wrap. Let's wrap.
Let's wrap, baby. Radio edit.
No? Okay.